everyone, and welcome to the Jack Vision channel. In this video, we will be ranking every 1C around the league. In my last video ranking every team starting goalie, I got a lot of comments about the rankings. So before this video, I just want to say that all of these guys are great players. Similar to starting goalies, these are all top players in the league. To be a starting goalie in the league or a starting center, you need to be a very, very good hockey player. And if a player is in the D tier, it does not mean that a player is horrible, but when compared to other first-line centers, they just fall into a D. With the starters and 1Cs, all of them would fall between like S and C tier if this was just a general players list. But that isn't a very interesting video, so if you are below the average 1C, you'll fall below that C level. This is based on daily face-off lineups, so shout out to them. So with that being said, let's rank every NHL team's top center. Like usual, not like usual, there's only 2 videos of these. I like to start with like a middle C tier guy just to kind of establish the video. And for this video, that's going to be Dylan Strome. Dylan Strome last season had 80 games played, 19 goals, 39 assists with 58 points. Strome is pretty good two-way. 2 years ago, he had a really good season with Ovechkin. He's been on Washington for way longer than it seems like. He had that really good year with Ovechkin, and then last year definitely fell off a little bit. Ovechkin fell off a little bit too. The Capitals in general just kind of fell off a bit. I think Strome, with 58 points, he's also like pretty decent two-way. It's just the perfect middle center for this list. C is kind of like you are a solid center. Anything lower than that is worse. Anything above that is higher. And next up, we have Leo Carlsson from the Anaheim Ducks, who had 70 games played last season, 29 goals, 38 assists, and 67 points. And I think Leo, who is the highest played player in the NHL, falls into that C category too. This is for next season, so I think Leo will have a better season next year as long as he's healthy. Last season he played 70 games only. With 12 extra games, he would have been close. I mean, he probably would have been close to 80 points, which is very, very good. It kind of makes me want to put him higher, but yeah, barring injury, he'll probably be in that B tier. But as of right now, he's in the C tier. The $18 million boy is only in C tier for right now, but I think, yeah, Carlson's very, very good. He's an electric player on the ice, and the Ducks are going to love that they kept him. Flyers fans are going to be sad that they lost him too. Next up is Boston Bruins' Pavel Zacha. 78 games played, 30 goals, 35 assists, and 65 points. Zach is kind of interesting to me because at first when I saw the name, I'm like, oh, he'll probably be low with only 65 points. But, well, I thought he'd like be lower, but he had a decent season last year. I think though you would prefer a guy like Zacha to be on your second line, so he's going to go in the D tier for me. Boston needs like an ace center. Like Lindholm just kind of isn't doing it for them. I think they expect him to be a bigger part of the team and be a first line guy, but right now it's Pavel Zacha, and yeah, you definitely prefer him to be your second line or even third line center, so he falls into D for me. Next up is the Buffalo Sabres' Josh Norris, who last year only played 44 games, had 13 goals, 21 assists, and 34 points total. Norris is really interesting because he was injured. Only 44 games played, but 34 points is pretty decent. I think I would put him in C. If he played a full year, I'd put him in C, but he's had so many injury problems in his career. I'm definitely going to keep him on D. Also, a guy that you'd probably prefer is your 2C. If he gets healthy, he definitely has the opportunity to move up this list. But I think for right now, a D probably works best for him. A guy you'd want would be a very, very good 2C, but a D for now. Next up is the Calgary Flames' Morgan Frost. Last season, 82 games played, 22 goals, 21 assists, 43 points. I'm sorry, Morgan, but this is our first F tier of the list. Morgan, I'm sure he's a great guy. He's a pretty good player. But to me, I mean, you want a guy like Morgan Frost on your third line. I'm really sorry, Calgary fans. Guys have been in the trenches for a minute now. Calgary just has too many players that are like halfway decent, where they don't get a super high draft pick, but they don't make the playoffs either. Hopefully next year without Anderson, you guys can tank a little bit more and maybe get a high pick. Seeing Calgary get the first overall pick would be so awesome. I would love to see that, but for now, your 1C Morgan Frost is going to be F tier. Next up is the Carolina Hurricanes' Sebastian Aho, who had 79 games played last year, 27 goals, 53 assists, and 80 points. He doesn't score a lot of points, but he is so good defensively. A great two-way player. He didn't show out in the playoffs last season, which is kind of making me bullish on him. but I think in A is where he goes. Probably the next captain of the Carolina Hurricanes, if especially if Jordan Staal retires this year. The team loves him. He's really good two-way. Even though he didn't get a lot of points in the playoffs, he was always out there shutting down the other team's top line. I think Ahu's a very, very great player. Next up is the Chicago Blackhawks, Connor Bedard. I would love to put him in A tier. Love this kid. He had 69 games played, 30 goals, 45 assists, 75 points, already above point per game. Injury problems really did keep holding back next year. So I think B is kind of where he fits right now. I was gonna say with a healthy season, but we just found out that he got shoulder surgery, so that healthy season won't be coming at least in the next year. I think a B really works for him. He's above a point per game. Works really hard defensively. He got way better at the faceoff dot last season. I think Bedard is a really, really good, and I think by the end of his career he'll be with these S tier guys, probably in a couple years. Next up is the Maurice Richard winner, Nathan MacKinnon, with 80 games played, 53 goals, 74 assists, and 127 points overall. This is obviously an S tier. Nathan MacKinnon just completely drives like everything that the Colorado Avalanche do. He's a complete truck on the ice. He's so interesting. He's not as smooth as a guy like McDavid or even Crosby, but he's just a Mack truck out there. He's such a choppy player. So fun to watch in a different way than a lot of other players. But obviously, with the amount of goals and assists he had last season, he's going to be an S tier. Next up is the Columbus Blue Jackets' Adam Fantilli, who last season had 82 games played, 24 goals, 35 assists, and 59 points. I think Fantilli, in 82 games, he had 59 points, which is less than Leo Carlsson. Fantilli, I have a lot of faith in growing as a player, but I do think he falls into D tier right now. Probably on the upper echelon of D tier because he is getting better. He played a full 82 games last season, which even if guys don't get as many points as you want, having them for 82 games is always good. But unfortunately, I think Columbus would probably prefer if they had a better first line center than Fantilli right now, so he's going to fall to the D tier. Next up is the Dallas Stars' Wyatt Johnston, who last season had 82 games played, 45 goals, 41 assists for 86 points. A monster on the power play, but a minus during 5-on-5. So to me, like almost all, I think he had 27 power play goals, which is crazy. But I mean, with 45 goals, he's got to be in a B tier. I think all around, I probably would have him worse than Bedard, especially injured. Like if Bedard played as many games, he would have had more points without a doubt. So to me, Wyatt Johnston is lower than Connor Bedard on this list, but still a B. I think he's very good and still getting better. For Detroit, even though Dylan Larkin is still technically on the team, it does seem like he's on his way out. So I guess their second line center is Andrew Copp, who last season had 79 games played, 9 goals, 34 assists, and 43 points. Having a first line center who had less than 10 goals in 79 games is really tough. And for that reason, Andrew Copp is going to be in the F tier. A Michigan boy, so we love him in Detroit. But that's just not the kind of guy you want as your first line center. Probably more fit for a third or even fourth line center. Very, very good two-way. Like he can shut down the other team center, but I think you definitely prefer someone much better on the first line. If you're enjoying this video so far, please, Scott Stevens, smash the subscribe button so this channel can get off the floor and on the board. Thank you all so much for your support so far. Someone who is very good on the first line is the Edmonton Oilers' Connor McDavid, who last season had 82 games played, 48 goals, 90 assists, and 138 points. The Ted Lindsay Award winner for the players voted best in the league. And come on, obviously an S tier for McDavid. He's been so good for over 10 years at this point. Just crazy. This guy's getting kind of old, which is pretty scary. It's kind of interesting. I did the videos about the Blackhawks, and the Blackhawks dynasty ended when Kane and Taves were the same age that Connor McDavid is now, and he hasn't won a cup yet, which is super interesting because like Kane and Taves were like, about to move on from the Blackhawks, and McDavid's still sticking with his team. So I think we people give him a lot of crap, but he's stuck with the Oilers for this long, and you gotta give him some credit for that. Next up is the Florida Panthers' Alexander Barkov. His 2024-2025 stats, because he didn't play for an entire year, with 67 games played, 20 goals, 51 assists, and 51 points. Barkov any other year would be S tier. His points, like only a little over 70 points in 67 games, isn't S tier points wise, but he is so good defensively. The reason Florida is so good in the playoffs and their first line is so good is because Barkov can shut down the other team. But he hasn't played an entire season, so he goes down to A tier. S tier, I'm telling you, I swear to God, S tier any other season. But just because of how he played, I was going to say of how he played last year, of how he didn't play last year, he's going to be A tier for me. And he goes second behind the new Stanley Cup champion, Sebastian Aho. Next up is the LA Kings' Quinton Byfield, who last season had 79 games played, 24 goals, 25 assists, and 49 points. Byfield is someone who I've always rooted for, second overall in the draft, but he's just not getting it done. 49 points is really not what you want from him. He's big, he's strong, but he's still honestly not as physical as you want him to be. And I think, yeah, I mean, he was a second line center last year and was fine. Behind Kopitar. I'm between F and D. I think I'll give him a little more. I mean, does he deserve more? 49 points. He had 6 more points than Copp. How many points did he add? 6 more points than Frost. He's better than both those guys for sure. Okay, I'll stick him in D. I feel bad putting him in F. Next year is going to be his first time manning the first line, so maybe it'll just be a perfect fit for him and it'll go off. Now, a guy who I was surprised to see was a first line center was a Minnesota Wild with Danila Yurov. So I did this through Daily Faceoff, and it says like the actual line. So even though Ekman Larson, or not Ekman Larson, that's crazy. Ekman Larson is crazy. Even though Joel Eriksson Ek is better than Yurov is still technically their first line center. And this is a tough one. 73 games played, 12 goals, 15 assists, 27 points. That's certainly an F. Minnesota really, really needs to figure it out. Larkin would be perfect for Minnesota, but for what I've been seeing, it's going to take like Boldy to get Larkin. So I'm really not trusting a guy like Yurov on your first line. That is definitely something that Minnesota needs to figure out before next season. You could tell when they faced Colorado in the playoffs that their center depth was just not up to par with Colorado's, and that's probably the main reason why they lost in the playoffs. Next up, though, is a team that won a lot in the playoffs, the Montreal Canadiens, with Nick Suzuki, who last season had 82 games played, 29 goals, 72 assists, and 101 points. And honestly, again, like Aho, didn't have a great playoffs. But Suzuki, to me, is... I want to put him in S tier. I mean, 100... Yeah, I'm going to put him in S tier. Above Barkov. He's kind of... Like, him and Barkov kind of swapped this year. I mean, being a Selke winner and also having 101 points is just completely ridiculous. I mean, that's a monster season for him. I don't think that you can argue. Like, he's on the low end of S. You know, no offense to Suzuki. He's not as good as McKinnon or McDavid, but how great he is defensively and still putting up crazy points as well. He deserves to be an S, in my mind at least. Next up is the Nashville Predators' Ryan O'Reilly, who had 81 games played, 25 goals, 49 assists, and 74 points. He was super critical of his own play during the season.
I know for myself, number one center and just turn the puck over everywhere and can't make a 6-foot pass to save my life. So we're not going to have much success if, you know, I'm playing pathetic like that. So it's stupid. I don't know the answer. I've had one good year in my career, and I don't have any answers. That's for sure.
But I still like O'Reilly as a 1C at least. I think he's probably an average 1C. Like you're a solid 1C. 74 points is pretty good. He's still really good defensively. He still is really good like as a front net presence. O'Reilly is a guy that like it's just a super gritty 1C. You know, the Blues won with him, and he's not that much worse. Like he's obviously worse. That was 7 years ago that the Blues won the Stanley Cup with O'Reilly. He hasn't dropped off that much. Obviously, there's a drop off, but I still think he's a reliable 1C, especially his defensive play, how good he is in front of the net, and he's a great tipper. So, I still think O'Reilly is a solid 1C. And with 74 points, that's not too shabby. Next up is the New Jersey Devils' Nico Hischier with 82 games played, 28 goals, 38 assists, and 66 points. And for me, Hischier is very good defensively. I think he's B tier. The points aren't as great as you want them to be, but he's entrusted to be a first line defensive center, and the Devils have really loved him. I thought the Devils were going to move on from him this summer, but they've held on to him and signed him to an extension. So maybe things are going to work out for him in New Jersey. But I really like him defensively. I'm surprised he hasn't won a Selke yet. He's very, very good. And I wouldn't be surprised if there were Selkies in his future. Next up, there was a player who is also a very good defensive center, Bo Horvat, who last season had 68 games played, 31 goals, 26 assists, and 57 points. I really like Horvat. He was a great captain on the Canucks. He's a great locker room presence. But as far as first-line centers, you definitely want someone better than him. So I think he honestly falls into D above. I would put him here above Norris, but below Fantilli. Fantilli offensively is so much better. Maybe even not so much better, but he is better. So I think Horvat falls there for me. Same thing with Islanders. They were very close to making. They were in the playoffs at multiple points during the season. I feel like a solid first line center is really what they need. A lot of these teams, it's weird how many teams need a first line center. Like it feels like for me, if you're building a team, it's like first line center is like the first thing you figure out. But there's so many teams that are still completely missing it. Especially a team like the Wild, who are a playoff team and going for the cup, but they still haven't figured out their first line center. Either way, if New York gets a great first line center, Bo Horvat is like a perfect second line center. So that's why he falls in D, because these are like guys who should be second line centers. Next up is the New York Rangers' Mika Zibanejad, who had 81 games played, 34 goals, 44 assists, and 78 points. Zibanejad is a guy who still puts up points. 78 points last season. Good for him. And I think he goes into C tier. I think he's still a reliable first line center. He's with O'Reilly, or they're getting older at this point. But Zibanejad's still at 34 goals and 78 points. He still does exactly what he needs to do for the team. I think he's probably on the lower end of things. Yeah, I would leave him at the bottom end of C, but still does exactly what he needs to do as a center in this league. Next up is the Ottawa Senators' Tim Stützle, who last year had 80 games played, 34 goals, 49 assists, and 83 points. Stützle is very, very good. He's going to have some very interesting, not interesting, he's going to have some new line mates next year with Eklund with him. And I think with Tkachuk, he'll thrive. He's a point-a-game guy. And I think he's a B tier. I really like Stützle. I think playing with new guys like Eklund will be very good for him next year. I feel like offensively, he'll be able to be more creative, which I'm really excited to see. Brady's more of a wrecking ball, while Eklund is more graceful out there. So maybe if they can form some chemistry, Stützle can really have a breakout season. I know his breakout season was a couple years ago where he had 90 points, and since then he hasn't been able to reach that again. But I think with things changing and Ottawa finding their identity again, he's really going to be able to thrive. Next up is the Philadelphia Flyers with Christian Dvorak. Sorry, Flyers fans, no Leo Carlsson for you guys. Instead, you have Christian Dvorak, who had 80 games played, 18 goals, 33 assists, and 51 points. I'm not super hot on Dvorak, honestly. I would probably rather have all these D tier guys. Yeah, I think I'm going to put Dvorak high F tier. He's just not. Yeah, he's like Dvorak should probably be a third line center for you. Honestly, he's a third line center on a good team. And he doesn't have much youth going for him. I see why the Flyers were willing to give up 4 first-round draft picks and $18 million a year for Leo Carlsson, because their center depth is not great. Zegras is probably better than Dvorak, honestly, but they're running Dvorak as their first line center lately. So that's just how it shakes out, Flyers fans. I'm sorry. Next up, though, is the Flyers' favorite rivals, the Pittsburgh Penguins with Sidney Crosby. Crosby last season had 68 games played, 29 goals, 45 assists, 74 points. He is still very, very good. He's definitely on the lower end of A tier. Kind of falling. This year is like the biggest fall off I feel like he's had in a minute, because he started off the year great, Finished really slow though. The injuries throughout the year didn't help, but still an A-tier guy at his age, almost 40 years old at this point. So good for him. Next up is the San Jose Sharks' Macklin Celebrini, who had an insane 82 games played, 45 goals, 70 assists, and 115 points. And he is an S-tier guy already. I'm going to put him lower than Suzuki. Suzuki's a little older, a little more mature, much better defensively than Celebrini, and still had over 100 points. So Celebrini is at the lower end of S, but already just a complete stud in the league. I feel bad as a Hawks fan having Bedard so much lower than Celebrini, but I mean, it was only Celebrini's second season, and he just completely broke out. Was an absolute monster. People already think that Sharks are going to be making a run to the Cup in the next couple years. I'm not that hopeful about their team, but I'm excited to see that all you guys are hopeful. Next up is the Seattle Kraken with Matty Beniers, who last season had 82 games played, 20 goals, 30 assists, 50 points. Beniers, another guy who was decent defensively, but has just really struggled to figure out in the NHL. I'm going to put him in an F2. I feel like for the Kraken's sake, Beniers as a second line center would work a lot better too, or even a third line. I feel like he was really thrust into this position on the Kraken. I feel like it's been kind of difficult for him to find his footing in the league. He was I think second or third overall pick when he was drafted, won Rookie of the Year, but has just really struggled to break out. Again, really good defensive player, but offensively, it's just not where it needs to be for a first line center. Then we have the St. Louis Blues with Robert Thomas, who last year had 64 games played, 25 goals, 39 assists. And Robert Thomas, to me, the Blues have really been trying to move on from him. What do you have? He had 64 points last year. I don't know. I'm trying to compare him to these other guys. I think he's probably low C tier as well. He has that veteran presence to him. I mean, he's not super old, but he's still a veteran in the league, I guess. He's very good. His asking price from the Blues for trading him was very high, to the point where he didn't even get traded. So he's obviously good enough for that, and I think he fits in the C tier. I would take him over any of these guys for one season. So I definitely think that works. Next up, though, is the Tampa Bay Lightning with Braden Point. Last season had 63 games played, 18 goals, 32 assists for 50 points. A tough season for Point, only playing 63 games. 32, not 30, I was going to say 32 points. 50 points in 63 games is still pretty good. Point is still good. I'm going to put him in a C tier as well. See, everything working out very well. The C tier is where most players should be. Braden Point still very good. Good defensively, good physically. Just fits really well for what the Lightning does. I think he's still super solid. Next is the Toronto Maple Leafs with Austin Matthews. Last season, 60 games played, 27 goals, 26 assists, 53 points. A really, really down year for Matthews. Earlier this year, I made a 5 potential trades for Austin Matthews video. People were very upset with the low trade value I thought Matthews had, but this year was really, really tough for him. I mean, I know he was hurt, but only 27 goals in 60 games is still not the pace you want this guy at. So I don't even know if I want to put him in A tier. I definitely think with the new additions, with McKenna, with having McKenna and Nylander at his sides, I think he will be up to A tier and possibly S tier next season. But based on his performance last year, I think B tier is kind of where he sits right now. High B tier at least, but yeah, with 53 points, it's just really hard to justify him being much higher than that. But I know he's good. We know Austin Matthews has the skill. It's just about getting back, staying healthy, and just being locked in mentally. I mean, mentally, it just seemed like things were so off for everyone in Toronto last year. So it's all about locking back in. Next up is a Utah man with Nick Schmaltz. Last season, he had 82 games played, 33 goals, 41 assists for 74 points. I really like Schmaltz. He's very, very good for the Mammoth, and I'm putting him in C tier as well. I think I honestly put him. He had more points than Strome, or am I putting him in B tier? 74 points. No, I don't think Schmaltz is as good as these guys. I'm going to put him at the highest end of C tier. I think Schmaltz is one of the most underrated guys in the league. I mean, 74 points, and he's really responsible defensively as well. Next season, Cooley might honestly take his spot by the end of it. Cooley is so good. If you guys aren't watching Mammoth games, Cooley is like the fastest dude ever on the ice. he's an absolute machine out there. But right now, Schmaltz is their lead center, and he's at the top end of the seats here for me. A very, very good player. Next up is a struggling franchise, the Vancouver Canucks, with Elias Pettersson. 74 games played last season, 15 goals, 36 assists, 51 points. Man, I don't even know anymore. Can't say I'm too locked into the Canucks, especially last season. But Pettersson, man, the fall off that this guy had. I'm gonna put him at. No, I would probably put him right here. Probably worse than Horvat. Probably better than Norris. Kind of weird. Maybe Pettersson is someone that the Sabres should be looking at for center. I feel like things really fell off. All that JT Miller stuff, like when Pettersson came into the league. If you guys are new fans, Pettersson was like, he was going to be like a god in this league. A Swedish guy on the Canucks, he was like the Sedins combined into one giant Nordic human. But things just kind of fell off for him. And he's in the D tier for me. I never thought about Pettersson on the Sabres, but I think that would kind of be a good fit. I think he would work well with guys like Thompson on his wing. He's a bit of a softer player, so having some rough players on his wings would be really good for him. Sabres fans in the comments, let me know what you think about Pettersson on the team. Of course, we're going to ask Vancouver to cover like half of his salary, but I think he could be a good fit. Next up is the Vegas Golden Knights' Jack Eichel, who last season had 74 games played, 27 goals, 63 assists, and 90 points. Very good season for Eichel with 90 points. Considering putting him in S, but I think he's high-end A tier. Eichel is really, really good. I think at one point, like when he first got on the Knights, it seemed like he might be on McDavid's level. Like they're going to be like battling it out. Like he might be almost as good as McDavid, but I think he's kind of leveled out over the last season or so. To just be like a solid two-way center who gets decent points. He's not going to have 100 points, but he's going to do his best. And finally, is one of the most underrated players in the league from the Winnipeg Jets, Mark Scheifele, who last season had 82 games played, 36 goals, 67 assists, and 103 points. On the Jets, who sucked, Mark Scheifele is a guy that I feel like no one ever talks about. He played 82 games last season. He played every single game. Had 103 points with no Nikolai Ehlers. With no Nikolai Ehlers, he's an A tier for me. I think I'll pay some respect to Aho. I'll keep him above. But Scheifele is a very, very good center. And if you guys are not locked into him, you better lock in because he's a bit of a beast. And that is every 1C in the NHL ranked. Things can still be moved around, like Larkin joining one of these teams. But as of today, July 10th, this is how it seems things stand. Thank you all so much for watching. Comment your thoughts below, like if you enjoyed, and subscribe for more.